start the session for today. So, I welcome all of you to the 30th InsightView series hosted by the Advertising Club Madras. Today, we have Ms. Bhuvana Subramanyan, who is an author, emotional marketing expert, strategic marketing leader, and speaker. And the topic would be Real Talk, leveraging AI for authentic communication. We were having a quick chat before we were starting, so I think there's a lot of insights that you're all going to be exposed to through this conversation. And Bhuvana was also specifically saying she'd like to keep it interactive. So if there are any queries, please feel free to switch on your cam or even drop a query on the chat box. Let me quickly introduce Bhuvana to all of you. So Bhuvana Subramanyan is the author of The Power of Emotional Marketing and the creator of the Spectrum of Sensations framework for emotional marketing. An award-winning marketing leader with nearly 30 years of experience, Bhuvana is known for her strategic acumen and ability to craft innovative, customer-centric campaigns that drive business growth and build strong brand equity. Over the course of her career, she has held leadership roles at some of the world's most respected organizations, including Randstad, IBM, Brandcomm, TNT, Aptech, and Vijay TV. Today, Bhuvana works as an independent consultant, advising top Indian and global brands on marketing strategy, brand communication, sales enablement, and thought leadership. A sought after speaker and guest lecturer, Bhuvana regularly addresses audiences at leading universities and industry forums on topics such as marketing, leadership, and diversity and inclusion. Her thought leadership and professional excellence have earned her multiple accolades, including recognition as one of Asia's 100 power leaders in marketing and communications, and honors from Social Samosa, CMO Asia, and the E4M Golden Mites. Beyond her corporate achievements, Bhuvana is a passionate advocate for environmental sustainability and women's empowerment. She actively mentors young women through organizations like HopeWorks Foundation, Vedika Scholars, and Aspire for Her, and is certified in Women on Boards. She also shares her insights as a podcaster, inspiring a broader audience with her perspectives on marketing and leadership. I welcome you once again, Bhuvana, and thank you for taking the time out. Like I said, we have many students, we have our regulars. Though the number of participants might, seem less in terms of the number on the. See, I'm very happy that Praveen, from MEPCO, Schlenk Management Institute, has also switched on his cam, and there are close to about at least 150 students there, if I'm not wrong. Right? So all of them are management studies based students, and the rest of us are on them. So it might be one user, but multiple people behind the camera. Over to you, Bhuvan.
Thank you so much, Suresh, and that gives me the thought that I should definitely reduce my introduction. It's quite long, and I think thank you everyone for joining in, especially on a Friday evening. All right, it's close to weekend. But today's topic is more to do with what all of us wake up to and go to sleep with, right? AI and all of us being from a marketing background or management background. I have not come across a single person in today's corporate life that does not use AI on a day-to-day basis, which is why it is important to understand how to make it authentic, how to ensure that it's not just AI and it's taking over our lives, right? So one part of AI, takeover is definitely communication, and all of us know that Chat GPT is something that we have, adapted as second skin. But what is happening in the world is the reality is how are we forgetting to express ourselves? Are we getting too dependent on AI? How do we use AI? I'm a AI, I love AI for what it has done, and how it's made lots of life easier, and but I'm also wary of what it can do, especially when it comes to communication. So I thought, let me talk through this. Definitely, the disclaimer is that this presentation has been made with inputs from AI, but largely curated by me. But it's fundamentally shaping how we, express ourselves and connect. Like whether it is ChatGPT or Suno or any of the apps that you would use, it is creating a lot of ease into our lives, and it is also making it so, the faster, the ease and the fastness, the speed at which we're able to put out content there, or speed at which with which we are able to, create stuff, has definitely reduced, and that's also changing the game for a lot of advertising agencies, digital agencies, and whatsoever. However, like, off late, if you would see a lot more people debating on the authenticity of the content that is being put out there. So therefore, it's essential for us to balance the efficiency that AI gives us, and also ensure that we keep a genuine human connection with our consumers, with our customers, or whoever we are creating content for. So I know like many of you are not on video, but whoever's there on video, can you just tell me how many of you have ChatGPT open all the time? You can probably put it. Yes, I can see Suraj. I can't see the students very well, but I know that 80 to 90% of people keep ChatGPT as part of their window, one of the windows open all the time, right? But to what extent do you like what it writes? You can put it on the chat if you want, or just call out the number.
70% for me.
70%. Okay. I kind of go from 70 to 80. I didn't put that option, but for me it's about 80%, right? So we ourselves know and understand that what it writes is not something that we 100% endorse, right? We like it because it's throwing out, in seconds, it gives you what you want. And at the same time, it makes it easier. It doesn't, you don't have to think too much, especially when you're writing some mundane email, or some note to your boss or to your team, and take those things have definitely been taken away from you in terms of your need to think. But when it comes to, when you go take it to the next level of writing creative content, or you want to write, let's say, briefs for your ad agency or for your clients to endorse, or let's say ad copies, or anything that's there, even management case studies, for example, right? People have started using it. I mean, if psychologists have started using AI, then it's a little worry, but I'm just saying it's being used across all kinds of content and case studies as well. So therefore, it is really, really important to know and understand that it's only this number of, this amount of percentage of content that it writes is, if you yourself don't like it, let's say, be 100%, the person who's going to read that you put out there, and that is AI generated, is also going to be perceived only that much, right? So which is why I kind of put a number to this in terms of how much do you like, to what extent do you like. So, and do you also think, so I generally go and ask, like there was another session where students were asking me, is AI going to take over my job, and stuff like that. So I always say, let's go and ask ChatGPT itself, right? So I asked ChatGPT, do you think the content generation done by AI is authentic? So the answer, you can see it for yourself, right? It can be, but not always by default. Okay, that's ChatGPT's answer generated as of today. So that's why it's also saying why, right? What when is it authentic? When there is a clear human voice or perspective fed into the system. We all know by now that it is garbage in, garbage out, right? What you put in is what you're going to get. As and when as and when your prompts and prompt engineering and all of that gets better, your output also will be better. So you really need to feed in your tone, your values. It needs to understand who is your audience. Sometimes when you do write your prompts, you don't even think that you need to put your audience. You think ChatGPT will understand everything by default. And sometimes you'll notice that it would pick something from a historic, prompt that you have put. Like, let's say you've erased the data, that on the left hand side you'll see, right? You've erased the data. It has the ability to go and pick something that you have, let's say, put a month earlier and then give you information based on that. And if you're not careful, you might just think that that's the data that you need to be presenting. So the second thing that it said is it's grounded in real data, facts, or experience. As we know that it feeds on real data, it feeds on data that is existing. I'm underlining, if I were writing on a board, I would underline the word existing data. It cannot make up data. It's only going back into the past and giving you whatever it thinks is right based on the data that's already there, or it's edited or validated by a human being. So you need context, right? The same thing can be said in different manners, in different ways. You need to add. This is why, I mean, when you have a virtual session versus an in-person session, there is slight differences. What are those nuances, right? You're able to see the context better. You're able to understand the intent. You're able to understand the person better when they are in person, and you're also able to read off their body language. Even a eye roll is something that you will notice very evidently when they are in person. So that's equivalent of what is being mentioned here in terms of context, intent, and truthfulness. It's very generic because sometimes you're also just throwing the same kind of prompt into it, so it can use the same buzzword. If you are using ChatGPT or any other AI on a daily basis, you will notice that it throws out cliches. It will use your Oxford commas, and your hyphens are a classical example of where we generally will not use a hyphen or em dash. It actually uses so very loosely, and the human's job becomes that you're sitting and actually deleting Oxford commas and hyphens and em dashes. So it's literally it's creating more work for you. And it's also about where there is a cultural nuance. I'll give you an example of when I used to be in IBM. We used to run campaigns, right? The cultural nuance might sound very trivial, but Australia follows S, not Z. Okay, whereas American English is Z, and UK English is S, and Australia also follows S. If you don't use that, we were doing an A/B testing on some of the campaigns. It showed us that any word that had S was clicked better than when it was Z. I'm just saying those nuances is something that you may have to feed in to create a brand, or a campaign for a specific requirement, which ChatGPT may not automatically pick up because it doesn't know who you're creating the thing for, campaign for. So I mean, these are just definitions, right? I mean, we need to understand who we are dealing with, and then move forward with it. We know that the market size, actually, especially if you're in marketing or an agency, or that this market is growing. And I work with agencies who actually create, uh, through and through, from start to end. They have started creating ad films, okay, at probably 0.1% of the cost. So that's the market we are in today. And it writes a script, it writes the tone, it gives you the characters, it tells you what music is appropriate. But you definitely need a human director to ensure that the storytelling is to the point as far as the brand is concerned. You need a director to select the cast. You still need a human intervention to understand and know whether the language that is being used is brand appropriate. So that juxtaposition is where we are at right today. And while it's growing, you need to definitely understand how to use this better for your own future, right? So does it actually mediate the communication? Does it reduce or enhance authenticity? That's a question. And for that, we need to understand what does authenticity mean in today's age itself, right? Otherwise, I mean, authentic, this word I know has been misused for the last 5 years in the context of corporates. Everybody, oh, you need to be authentic. Okay, oh, can I yell at you? No, I can't yell at you. But I am a person who wants to yell. So is that authentic enough? No, that's not the point here. It is about what does your outside in view talk about? What does the lived in experience call for? What is that strategic thinking? What is the voice that you really want to, use when you're talking to your customers? The other thing you need to understand is that it blurs the line between genuine self expression and enhanced messages. So that, I mean, if you want me to, I will go with the examples a little later, so you'll be able to understand these points better. And it's also trained in the past, as I just mentioned, right? So it struggles to say anything. Even if you say, tell me something, you can all try this later, as like just as a homework or, just for fun. Okay, just say, can you give me something that has not been published? Okay, it cannot, right? It will just give you a mix of something that has already been published. Okay, it can never throw something that is truly new. So you need to understand this. The newness comes from our human layer. Okay, it comes from your most creative is you. It's not you versus AI. The human is the most creative. AI is just your communication partner and cannot be the total creator itself. Even with agentic AI, just before we started this session, I was reading about how the agentic AI is such a fail of ChatGPT's agentic AI is already, being considered a failure because it's so clunky and it's not able to generate what it really wants. It's just become like they're calling it that they have created an intern. So even the AI world is still being, it's going through its own evolution, but we are so much in a hurry to jump onto the bandwagon that we want to stay back and just watch what it's doing, right? While AI can definitely enhance efficiency, but it cannot replace human connection. When you're talking to your friend, when you're talking to your neighbor, you're talking to your parents, right? It can't take that away. When you're talking to your colleague, when you're talking to your customer, unless you know what the customer really wants, you and I are customers for so many, many, many products and services in today's life. And our thoughts, our liking, our own requirement keeps changing on a daily basis. So AI has not come to a point where it's so quick to understand our change, ever evolving requirement. Okay, so that's where human intervention is definitely required, and the authenticity comes in by you feeding AI what is actually required on, ground. We spoke about email, right? But let's say you just ask AI to write an email to, let's say, your boss, give the context and whatever it is. I'll give you another example. One of our leaders was leaving, and he wanted to write an email introducing the rest of the team to another person, right? It was fed into AI. It just gave a very generic, oh, thank you for being part, blah, blah, blah. And, it's nice. I would warmly like to introduce you, my team, XYZ things, right? Which is not the authentic voice of that person at all. And there is absolutely no context of when and where these people work together. So you need to, kind of put that lens always and bring in that sincerity when it comes to using AI for authenticity. Okay, this is something that this is part of some WhatsApp thing forward that came up, and this is something I've tried as well. Okay, this is a different example. The joke is that what's the capital of France, and it says Paris, but somebody who's inputting says, my wife says it's London. So ChatGPT is still fighting it, but then somebody says my wife is never wrong. So then it changes its tone, right? There are times when I have actually input something and I know the fact is wrong. And I don't know if you have noticed that all, AIs have a disclaimer saying that AI can make a mistake. You can go and do a Google search today on some subject and try AI. There is a thing that say try AI. And at the bottom, you'll say AI can make mistakes. Okay, so that's how authentic AI is for you today. So I'm sure it'll evolve. I'm sure all of us are going to see a day and time when AI is going to get it right 100%. But until then, let's let us also keep our facts that, Paris is the capital of France, right? So, but it can agree with you. So you need to be definitely careful. You need to definitely do a fact check. Yeah, and as I've given you so many examples, right? Without you, AI can be boring, it can be very noisy and can be disconnected. Another fun thing that all of you can do is maybe just run some command, some prompt, the same prompt. Like 10 of you can run the same prompt and see if someone who has done a very empathetic prompt, I mean, empathetic tone earlier in their prompts versus somebody who's never done an empathetic tone, has only asked for, just facts, factual outputs. You can see the way AI will, kind of bring out its own output. So as is, it lacks emotional intelligence. We need to, definitely, I mean, you again, when psychologists are using it, or when you say, can you be my psychiatrist, it's taking inputs from somebody else who's already fed it. It's not, it doesn't have its own empathy. People suddenly, wake up one day and say, oh, AI can be my, doctor, AI can be my psychologist. No, it cannot. It can mislead you. It's one of cases that are being marketed by people like us to, kind of venture that AI has got its place, but it cannot actually take on the nuances of your empathy or a cultural context, as I mentioned earlier. And it definitely requires authenticity, requires human intent. So please understand, you have your own values, your experiences, and your intentions. It can create your, if you want, you can actually feed that into AI and then ensure that it's every time you ask for its input, it actually brings out content or a communication pack in your tone, right? It can imitate you, it cannot become you. Okay, so you need to understand that as well. Another thing is trust, right? When now I'm sure I don't know how many of you are on LinkedIn, you will see a lot of conversations happening around this whole skepticism of around AI-led content, right? Because it's a very sad thing that on the day of the Air India crash, okay, one of the leading publications had, I'm sure, kind of used AI to run their, social media. um, it actually put out a comment on LinkedIn saying that, calling out all movies that had a plane crash in it. So the empathy part, that's what I was saying, is lacking, right? It's just picking up crash. It's not picking up context. It's not picking up anything else. And therefore, it literally, kind of failed humanity that day. Okay. So I'm just saying so that you lose trust with that publication after that, right? Because you've seen that in unauthentic way of dealing with a particular news. And anyway, I have disconnected all news. That's a different thing altogether. But I'm just saying, so everybody using AI without understanding what game it's playing or how it is reacting to certain things, or just using keywords to, run campaigns, then it is not going to lead to an authentic voice of you as a person, your organization, or, or for your customer themselves, right? Even creativity, I don't know how many of you have tried. I don't know, I'm a trial junkie, if you can call it. Like anything comes, I will actually go and try. So I've tried creating, visuals out of AI. I've tried creating, I've had to do like 15 visual trials to get the, with the same keywords, right? To get the actual visual right. Okay. So there is that nuance that is definitely missing. Humor is missing. Humor is something that is so in, for us, it comes quite naturally. And the unpredictability part of it, creativity. I mean, Suraj runs an agency and he will definitely be able to tell you all maybe later one day, like how much of creativity actually happens by a human being. Maybe they're like, traveling from home to workplace, or, many things happen in the bathrooms and, So the creativity is something that the human definitely brings, that unpredictable creativity. They see something and they get triggered for it, right? Like, I mean, the creative trigger can happen by just seeing a gulab jamun and Swiggy came out with an ad. I'm just saying, so that's not like, something that AI has gotten yet, okay? So, but how can you still use AI, to ensure that you are able to do a good job of it? Definitely, I'm not going to read through this, but I'm sure you can circulate this to the people, right? So that you can circulate the deck later so they can read through it. So definitely you need to have a purpose of what you're trying to achieve, right? Put down your, put not on, don't put it in the, uh, AI platform yet. Create a document for yourself and just put down intent. What are you trying to align? Who's your audience? What do they like? What do they not like? What should your campaign look like, feel like, taste like, whatever it is, right? So what is that final action that you're looking for? Like, what is the CTA? I'm sure you all of you understand the call to action that you were expecting out of a customer, right? And what is that one message, two or three messages that you want your entire campaign or messaging to actually call out, right? Tone, like if you see organizations like Tata is equal to trust, right? IBM is called the big blue. I'm saying there are one or two or three key messages, three words, right, that actually are, have stayed with these brands forever. I was reading the Zomato CEO. I mean, he actually got funding with just four words, like buses in the sky. That's his campaign, right? For the new airline that he's planning to launch. So that's all it is, buses in the sky. So what is that, thing that you want your messaging to talk about is something that you need to decide. Then you use AI as a tool and not just see, the minute you start getting AI to do your thinking, you lose it. I can guarantee you this. And I've seen reports of actual medical reports also of showing how the brain works of a person who is addicted to, AI slash chat GPT, or somebody who's not totally addicted to chat GPT. It's showing, I mean, just like how it shows our mobile over usage of our mobile also has effects on our brain. So similarly, ChatGPT or any other AI platform has also started affecting our brain. So I would definitely say be clear and careful. You can use a simple framework like this, or instead of you, I mean, this is quite a lot. If you're not used to, this, then you can use a simple framework of who the audience is, what is the action, and what is the proposition, right? This is called the ARP framework. Okay. By the way, somebody had asked which political party will ChatGPT join, and today it said it will join up, which because it aligns with its value, it seems. Okay, so that's the call. So you can, I mean, I'm just making the point to showcase like how much can you trust it, right? So okay, benefits of using AI in communication, definitely time saving. It's got a consistency to it. And once you feed your tone and everything, it can, replicate the tone again and again. There is, when you want to scale, right? When you have to, let's say, put out like 20 sets of content every day, like social media people can use it very effectively. So then it can, give you that personalization and scalability as well. And of course, it's available 24/7 for sure, right? So those are your benefits. This is another thing that I wanted to share of recently. I saw this conversation on LinkedIn. So just John, I don't know how many of you know, is very well-known journalist, right? So he had actually said there was a conversation around AI detector tools. I don't know how many of you have tried that, used it. When you start using AI to write, and I'm sure when you do your homework, there are, using AI, or you submit your case studies or something into your college, people can use AI detector tools to ensure that it is not completely written by AI. But that again is debatable, right? But it is about how journalism or communication is kind of going through this whole churn of how much it is dependent on AI, and how many people are actually depending on AI. Real journalists and real marketers are not definitely looking at using AI 100%, you can just say that you need to start looking at ensuring that, just 1 second, guys, sorry. Here, take, sorry. Our delivery still needs OTP, so I'm sorry. Not AI led yet. So just John is, kind of creating this entire debate around that he doesn't use AI much. He doesn't use AI detector tools, but he is facing this issue of a lot of his team members, coming with inauthentic content, right? Or new journalism. So this is just one area where I think content has to be more authentic. It has to be more genuine. It has to speak to the audience. As is the news industry is dying. And if they keep throwing, inauthentic content that is AI generated, I'm sure it's not going to, sit well with any of us. So I just thought in the real world, this is a actual debate that is happening and you should be aware of it. Okay, what are the challenges? Definitely the emotional intelligence gap is there, the impersonal messaging, the loss of human touch, and that it can misinterpret your prompt. As I mentioned earlier, it can think that a word means something else, and it can give you a very, very different output. And over reliance on AI can lead to, definitely complacency. There was a stage where I noticed a colleague of mine who could not think. She had lost her completely, ability to think of form a sentence. Okay, she had lost her vocabulary. I saw this like happening right in front of me, and she was trying to, use her phone chat GPT to give her sentences to even speak. Okay, so it's got that effect. So I know it sounds not to scare you, okay, but that's what is happening. So just let's be very, very, very judicial about using, AI to the extent. But there are very good examples that are happening. Let's say there is a dating app that includes a prompt coach of, so it increases engagement. It gives you probably very funny, quirky ways of reaching out to people on a dating app. That's maybe useful to the students who are sitting here or anyone else. And there is emotional AI marketing. Customers reacted, everything when once you start saying only what AI is saying, customers are not buying it anymore. Because let's say, imagine if Swiggy, Zomato, and everybody starts saying the same thing on a daily basis, right? Or the same, what are the brand? Let's say all the car brands are saying the same thing because it's generated through AI and there is completely no differentiation. You're not going to buy that communication at all, right? So therefore, that's not working at all. And it is also, this is from a study that brands that were transparent about, they said that we are using AI, for XYZ purposes, had better customer trust when they declared it ahead of time. Then customers were okay with the brand using AI to an extent, but not 100%. This is, going back to the up framework and how do you really, create for real communication is, as I said, do the idea and intent, ensure that you are doing the delivery, and, keep allowing this practice, get the AI to practice your tone and creating that, review mechanism to ensure that there is an alignment with the authenticity itself, right? And you need to go beyond, personas that you have AI has created. You need to add layers to it and also create some trust signals, and definitely ensure that you are using AI as a co-creator and not a complete creator itself, right? So okay, just one point that I wanted to tell from the previous slide is that create a ritual of pausing, right? Before you just put out that content, just pause, read through it, and then ensure that you're putting out content. I don't know how many of you know NLP and machine learning. These are layers that work behind AI. So these actually help the next, I'm just saying what is happening behind and what is going to help you create the authenticity is, ensuring that there is a NLP layer to the AI stack that you're choosing, if whenever you choose it for your organization or for your communication, and also ensuring that the machine learning is, top notch, which means it has enough data to be able to help you, create a futuristic view from the past that is already having a sense of, okay. Day to day, I'm just saying, when you the homework or the fun activity that you will do, you can try all this. You can vary your sentence structure and see how it gives you, different outputs. You can add a personal touch to create a persona and read aloud. Some you have the voice thing, so therefore you can also identify and correct any when once it throws out the content, then you can read it aloud, so it kind of stimulates your brain, and also ensures that it's not giving you the same phrases, it's not sounding robotic whatsoever, and definitely maintain transparency, right? I think we've covered this enough. Don't over rely on AI. Feed it your own bullet points. It needs to start sounding like you. Okay. AI plus authenticity is what is going to create impact. Okay. So you need to be thoughtful around AI. Use AI thoughtfully. It needs to enhance your empathy and not erase it. It's not about perfection. You can feed spelling mistakes. You can feed imperfect sentences. Uh, AI, you don't have to treat AI like a friend. I've seen a lot of people having full blown conversations with AI. That's really not required. But it's about ensuring that you come out as somebody who's real, relevant, and that you resonate with your own uh, people that you're communicating to. Authenticity definitely comes from intent and definitely not the tool. And as I said earlier, your brand is your power. So don't lose your cognition to AI. That's my message for the day for sure. But yeah, here's to lot more authentic content being created in this world using AI. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bhuvana. Thank you.
I know I rushed through a lot of stuff, but you can have the
No, no, no.
presentation. Yeah.
It's so prevalent. I mean, I think it's very important about understanding the real way of using AI, and specifically in this case ChatGPT, right? Like you said in the beginning of the conversation, right? Like the biggest challenge that we're having today is to remove those M dashes and the all of those which, and there's
Painful
tons
as
of
well.
emojis that are added for no reason.
Oh, yes.
So and that's now, then how do we make that more personalized and thereby make it sound a little more like us? Yeah, I mean, in fact, a lot of our even the say the resignation emails or even
Oh,
lead letters, right, that come through have gotten to sound so much more professional, which has not been the way it was before. At least in our agency, it's a lot more casual. Sometimes
yeah.
we suddenly wonder, right, like why is everyone sounding the same?
No more grandmothers are dying.
Yeah, exactly. So that being said, I was very surprised that you said there was somebody that who got affected, that this couldn't make sentences out of it, which
No,
is
they just speak.
actually a scary thing to realize.
Absolutely.
So anyway, we're going to open this Q&A for the next 5 to 7 minutes. Uh, please feel free to switch on your camera and raise your hand if you'd like your mics to be unmuted by Vaishnavi. And or you can drop your query in the chat window. So people who do not want to come on cam. Uh, yep. So could you unmute Adit, Vaishnavi? Vaishnavi? Yep, I think I have the control. Hey, Venkat, that's why I was like,
Hey,
hey,
hey.
I was like, I was very familiar face, but different name.
Yeah, it's
How are
been
you,
quite a
Venkat?
while. Good, good. Thanks, Suraj. And Bhuvana was a lovely this thing. Yeah, nice to.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Venkatesh.
in fact, what I was just reading this whole thing a couple of days back in the business line about the agencies now getting into managing the AI issue also. This happened, I
Yeah,
think, 2 days back in the business line.
yeah,
And of course, it's not going to be taking over completely and all that. But I mean, as you said, lot of prompting can be done, etc. But there's always a human element that is required for your final publication, right?
Totally, totally.
Yeah, so I'm sure, Bhuvana, for your own publishing of your book, what percentage of work has been done by AI in your whole thing, that possibly?
I started before this whole, I started writing before this
Okay,
whole thing took over. It took me a
okay,
year to finish the book,
okay.
Venkatesh. But however, we
Yeah,
definitely, the publisher, and they did run the whole content
yeah, okay.
through to ensure it is not AI led, first of all. They
Good,
had to check that.
right.
Secondly, I mean, in all fairness, I did use it to check grammar and, spelling mistakes. So that definitely is something I used it for, but
So,
not for the content, because if you see the book, it's more of the case studies, the
okay.
Indian case studies led. So that's not something that is readily available. So thankfully, I did not have to rely so much on.
Good. And then there's another thing which again came up with the MIT, looking at the guardrails for using AI, making the human
Yeah.
brain. And that was slightly scary when you said your own colleague was getting into that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, what is the message? I think you have a lot of students now attending the whole thing from us now. I think if there's any one takeaway for them in terms of how they should actually have the guardrails being working for them and how to use it effectively and so on, even for working professionals as much. I think that's
Yes.
something which we need to look at on a serious basis. Although AI is definitely a great enabler, no doubt, but unless you have safeguards and all that, is going to be really critical for us, right? Possibly
Absolutely.
the
So
critical
I
thinking
think,
element will go off. Yeah,
yeah, I think all of us are at a stage, Venki, where we have no choice, but we have to use it.
right.
Definitely. And more so the future generations, we may just still escape a
Hmm.
large part of it.
True.
But for the futuristic students, I would definitely recommend that they take breaks, right? They take breaks. They indulge themselves in some creative exercises to ensure that, I mean, we've all done that, like to ensure that both sides of our brains are,
Oh yeah,
active, right? So just like,
correct, correct.
I mean, this is something that can be like a fitness challenge that they
Mental
take.
gym rather. Yeah,
Yeah, go see some greenery, see something else, play
true.
with your dog, talk to your friend. Yeah, that itself is becoming a big deal now.
Precisely. Well said. Yeah, true.
So those are measures for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Anyway, thanks. Yeah, that's it from my end, Suraj and Bhuvana.
Thank you, Venki.
Yeah,
Thank you, Venki.
yeah.
Yes. Any other queries? Please feel free to drop your queries in the chat box, or you can ask
Or
it
any other
live.
experience that others have had also, right? And
Yeah,
that's also fine. Yeah.
I think we'll give it a minute for people to gather their thoughts, and if not, we'll see. In fact, until people probably put their queries. Yesterday, Airtel released an update that they're giving all their users perplexity
Yes,
for
perplexed.
free,
Yes.
right? And it's a 17,000 rupee worth tool apparently, and it's coming free with Airtel users, which I haven't used it myself. I'm a huge GBT person user at this point in time, but I was just wondering, right? So they made it so much more accessible to people who are even Airtel consumers, which is a large part of consumer base out of India.
Which is good in a way. I mean, which is good. I'm just saying, like, you do have your, we're all privileged to be in bigger towns, and you have access to a lot of stuff. In smaller towns they may have access only to a mobile, right? So
Correct.
therefore it is very good that that's a good step. Again, I mean, it is definitely going to, the penetration, as we all know, Suraj, like from a, television, we have seen, villages and smaller towns seeing all of it, right? Television to mobile, and now
Correct.
AI. I just hope there's less addiction to it. That's my only hope. Yeah.
Uh, anyway, so I guess that's what it is we have
Can I ask
for
one
today.
question?
And yes, the MEPCO students have
Can I
requested.
ask one question, please?
Oh yeah, please go ahead, Rajiv. Sorry, I'm.
Yeah, hi. This is Rajiv. I am from Adani Realty. I just want to check, AI is all about scale, right? When it really helps if there is a scale to be mapped in terms of impact creation. And we have
Correct.
seen that, when you have a lot of data or something like, say, the pre-sales team, when they call a lot of data or doing the calling part of it,
Yeah.
those kind of jobs can be done through AI and more efficiently. That's
Correct.
one part of AI that when it comes to the scale and the impact that creates is clearly coming out that they can do a faster job. And along with that, there is a cost saving also that happens. It's not only the impact that is creating, but it's creating the cost impact also. Your ROI is much better. So do you
True.
think that it's a tool which should be used, irrespective of the lot of discussion happening that whether AI is good or bad, or is there anything else that you think we need to wait for some
I,
time?
yeah, I would actually, I mean, I keep questioning the authenticity of anything that's been thrown. Like even with Google, right? It's already data. I mean, I've worked with IBM for 9+ years, right? So I've seen, tool like Watson in play, like actually that supercomputer in play as well. So for me to, from there to, sometimes I just test it, Raji, like you can also test it. Anyone of you can test it. I literally go and ask, are you sure? I just put this question of, are you sure about what you're selling? You can
Okay.
try it with ChatGPT. It will 90% of the time alter its answer, which is why I'm worried, especially if you're using this data. But if it's pulling data from authentic sources that are already, studies that are out there, and you can call out, like, give me studies, like, let's say in the healthcare business, right? If you're saying, give me only that is authentic data that's being put out by Mayo Clinic or XYZ, you call out the sources, and then it's just helping you collate, then I'm fine. Okay. How do you otherwise validate what it's saying is right? That's my question. I don't have an answer. I just go and see how I can ensure that I am able to filter it to an extent that I'm able to kind of trust it blindly. I don't think we're at that stage for sure, especially, uh, you know, that's why I added that layer of machine learning and NLP, right? If you have that as a tool, then definitely you can trust the data that it's throwing out.
What about
Normally,
AI bots? Let's
sorry?
say the AI bots,
Yes,
that's not something, required a lot of authenticity
I agree.
check,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
sure.
where, where they can do a lot of work, which, supposed to be done by a lot of telecallers or a pre-sale team or for a marketing impact, that really helps if you have AI bot.
I agree with you on that. It can definitely personalize. AI bots have also have gone through their own evolution in the last 10 years, I would say. And today's AI bots are much smarter. They're able to customize, they're able to, throw questions beyond what you really want them to answer on, or quickly redirect you to the person. If they don't have the answer, then quickly redirect you to the customer, person. AI bots definitely also, from a scale perspective, to your earlier question, Rajiv, yes, they will help you. They can answer many more customers compared to your typical, caller, right? So yes, and the caller is becoming more and more annoying, as we all know. So we all now actually the preference is like we are okay to chat with an AI bot and get the right answers if it's like, is the flight on time? For example, I'm saying, is the flight on time? Is it, is the cost, can you give me options, cost options, XYZ? Those kind of simpler questions, definitely your AI bots can
And
help.
the last question is on that, there are a lot of things that we do on a daily basis, which are like, very uncertain type of situations, like share market,
Yeah.
nobody knows when it will go up or down, but everybody tries to play on share market, in that case where that there is no data to authenticate that, what will be the trend in next 10 days, 20 days or a month. Shouldn't I depend on the AI a bit more, saying that, okay, at least, nobody knows what is the trend. There is no scientific way till now. Shouldn't I wait? I think at least, go by AI, which is more of a machine learning and gives me much better feedback.
I think people are using it, Rajiv, very effectively. And I did see, I think last week there was some news that said there's some guy, not on the share market. I think he actually created a good pack of SIPs using AI, and he did earn quite a lot of money. I am part of some of those share groups, especially women who are into the market. But again, right, you should be like any other share market b- person who's willing to put your risk into the share market. You should be willing to put your risk into the AI output as well, right? It's not necessarily 100% again. It's just pulling data. If you're okay, and the market can turn because Trump sneezed early morning. The data that you would have got is probably last evening, right? This, how do you build this into it? And till that such time, you need to still be okay with the risks that you have with AI. But to answer your question, yes, machine learning and the data reading that AI can pull from, let's say, from your early morning Japan market to the US market, it can show you trends, it can show you what is a long-term investment, good long-term investment, what is a short investment. Definitely, yes, but I'm not sure about day trading. That's anyway a bigger risk. But otherwise, I think for a long-term investment part, I think AI people are using AI very effectively and
Okay.
making good money.
Okay. Okay, that is critical.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. You're
Thank
welcome.
you, Rajiv. Thank you. So I believe there aren't any more questions at this point in time. But thank you so much, Bhuvana, once again. I would, like to take this opportunity to thank our team, which is Vaishnavi and Indra, who's been pivotal to, coordinate, communicate, get this whole thing moving. Also, for everyone here in the room, we are having an ad talk session happening on the 8th of August in Chennai. Who's the, a well-renowned creative person, Mr. Titus, is going to be part of the session. So he was an NCD at Dentsu earlier, and he will be coming down on to Chennai from Delhi for the session, followed by the week, following week, we have a pub quiz happening in the city for our members. And of course, our, most awaited awards of the year, advertising awards, which is Maddie's 43rd advertising awards happening in the month of September. So please feel free to drop in your entries, everyone in the room. And Bhuvana, if you and your team also would like to, please look into it.
I have shared it with the AI agencies.
Yeah. Yeah, and there are in fact AI categories this time.
I
We have
saw
a couple
that. Yes, yes.
of them as well. So on that note, thank you, Bhuvana, once again, and thank you for all of you, for participating and on a Friday evening, like Bhuvana said at the beginning of the call, and it was a super entertaining session. Over
Thank
to you,
you.
Bhuvana, if you have any.
Thank you so much, Suraj, and thanks to Anbu, in fact, for pulling me
Oh
into
yes,
this
absolutely.
for sure, and to your team as well, who've been very diligently following up and ensuring that we do all the checks and we're here. And thanks to all the participants and for the questions as well. I thoroughly enjoyed putting this together.
Lovely.
Take
Thank you,
care.
and have a good evening and a great weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.